What's happening, Expeditioners? It's Pete here. I want to talk to you today about free tours. Now, I'm actually going to do a few videos about free tours because there are a handful of different types of free tours that I would highly recommend. But one of the things that I wanted to talk to you today about is an actual free tour that I took when I went to Pearl Harbor. So if you go to the USS Missouri battleship in Pearl Harbor, I think they called it the Mighty Mo. It was a crucial ship in World War II, and that actually served all the way up until Desert Storm. I think it was reactivated later. And it was in the movie Battleship, so you might be able to recognize it from there. But I'm just always fascinated by these. But when I went there, I went onto the ship. You board the ship, and actually one of the docents or tour guides there was saying, hey, we've got a little walking tour around the main deck that is free if anyone wants to join. It starts in about 10 minutes. And so I was there with my family, and I thought, hey, a free little walking tour. I would love to do that, hear a little bit of the history, because obviously the boat is open. It's kind of a little bit like a museum. You can just go in and look around at your own leisure, at your own pace. But I really wanted to hear a little bit about the boat and the history of it. And so a gentleman walked us around. We had about maybe 15, 16 people in our group, some different families from all over. It was very casual. It just kind of went all around the deck, one big loop of the main deck. So we didn't go inside, we didn't go up to the bridge or anything like that. But as we were going around, he shared with us stuff like why the boat is shaped the way it is, how much it didn't move when they would fire off the big guns. They kind of mentioned how they were preserved because the boat is actually meant to be reactivated in case of an emergency. In fact, he took us to underneath one of the turrets so you could stick your head up in there, kind of explain to us what was going on there. Took us around to one of the sides where a kamikaze actually hit the boat, and the bomb on that kamikaze plane did not go off, so it actually didn't rip a hole into it. There's actually a dent on the side of the Missouri that was never repaired. He took us to where the surrender was signed on the deck of the Missouri and how it was modified to be able to handle a table for that. And you got to see the captain's quarters and a bunch of other pieces of history and how the ship was actually kind of retired, I think, after World War II and then reactivated during Desert Storm. So it just has a fascinating history. A lot of people actually served on it, even modern sailors. And it's kind of funny to have a old World War II vintage ship that they were serving on. But what I really loved about that tour was that it didn't cost us anything. It gave us a huge introduction and appreciation for the boat. And so after the tour, even though it was only maybe 20 or 30 minutes, you were free to roam around. And now you actually had a good idea of what you wanted to see. And you didn't need to necessarily read all of the descriptions on the plaque. So it was really great. They actually had a paid tour too that would go onto multiple decks, but we didn't do that. Now, one thing I will say is even though it's a free tour, if you have the means, I would highly recommend tipping your guide. I think I tipped him $10 because I actually had 4 people in our group, my brother-in-law, my wife, and my son. I thought a couple bucks per person was appropriate. He seemed to really appreciate that. I noticed some other people weren't tipping, so you don't have to. And it can be one of those things where it can just be a nice free introduction to whatever location or destination you are exploring. So the free tours, at least on the USS Missouri, is absolutely something I would highly recommend doing and taking. And if you are in another place and maybe it's a ship or a Revolutionary War fort or a historical place or a museum or wherever they might have a free tour, I would highly recommend taking it. It can be really worthwhile. The amount of information that you can learn in a short period of time from someone who is really passionate about that topic can really sink in and be memorable for you. So I would highly recommend doing it. I hope that helps on your next trip. I'll see you later.